16 children from the same family were rescued from a dilapidated home in rural Vinton County, Ohio. The children lived under dire conditions with human waste all around and confined to just one room for much of the past 4 years. Authorities found them during an unrelated search warrant. Some of these kids discovered on Tuesday could not speak at all, and one, an 18-year-old who was developmentally disabled, could not even write her name when investigators arrived. The children are now in protective custody while authorities investigate the circumstances surrounding their living conditions. 16 children rescued from Ohio home looked almost feral, authorities say. Progressive challengers scored upsets against Democratic establishment names up and down the ballot in Colorado. Democrats in Colorado sent their party 2 messages: move left and time for change. In the race for governor, the state's Attorney General Phil Weiser beat U.S. Senator Michael Bennet for the Democratic nomination. But the biggest surprise of the night may have been in the state's 1st congressional district. 29-year-old Democratic Socialist Mel Cairo's unseated 30-year-old incumbent. 30-year incumbent Representative Diana DeJette by nearly 10 points. Diana DeJette was the 3rd Democratic incumbent to lose in just the last 2 weeks, following Dan Goldman and Adriano Espile in New York, and there were more down ballot in Colorado last night. Prefer the freshest, clearly dated detail. Treat live pages as volatile unless extraction has enough body text. The Supreme Court has reaffirmed birthright citizenship as a constitutional right, upholding its precedent. This ruling was hailed by supporters as a victory for all Americans. Since the decision, Wong Kim Ark, a San Francisco resident, has been actively engaged in legal circles. He recently gave interviews and speeches, even traveling to Washington this April to hear Supreme Court arguments related to birthright citizenship. The script includes all required factual claims. No unsupported or speculative statements are present. The final sentence reflects a concrete, verified fact from the inputs without adding filler. The story explains the significance of the Supreme Court's ruling on birthright citizenship and its implications for Americans. If it didn't fly in the face of the Constitution, the Supreme Court would have ruled differently today. Last month, the Department of Education announced it would shift oversight of special education to the Department of Health and Human Services. Led by Robert F. Kennedy's comments last year, where he said children with autism would never write a poem, pay taxes, or hold a job, raised questions about how he would oversee an agency meant to help students develop those skills. If a state starts to provide services in institutional settings, legal challenges likely would follow, the department said. Trump's actions signal a move toward institutionalizing people with disabilities, advocates warn. Committee hearing room, government building, official portrait document, or oversight context visual. State the official or institution, the claim or allegation, and who is raising it. The remaining polling caveat is how the surveyed population and margin of error shaped the finding. Republicans are pushing courts to reinterpret a long-standing federal law that protects eligible voters from late roll purges. This move comes as the Trump administration seeks broader authority over election processes, potentially impacting voter access in key battleground states like California and Texas. The next step will depend on whether courts grant preliminary review to these legal challenges. Republicans are pushing courts to reinterpret that long-standing protection for eligible voters, none identified in the source text. A federal law bans late voter roll purges.